everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience in a Vipassana retreat, 10 days silent meditation retreat, what Vipassana is, my experience, the good parts, the bad parts, any recommendations could potentially be useful for anyone who is thinking about doing Vipassana in the future. What is Vipassana? So Vipassana is a form of meditation deeply linked in psychosomatics, so the idea that our bodies and our minds are very heavily connected. We understand our bodies on a biochemical level, on an academic level, but do we actually understand our bodies on an experiential level? So if we've been through trauma, or if you've been in certain difficult experiences, to what extent do these experiences leave an impact or a footprint and on the cellular or energetic or emotional layers and levels of our bodies? Sitting with your thoughts, you're sitting with your emotions, sitting with your bodily sensations, you're allowing it all to come up, all to be processed. Obviously in 10 days, it's just the beginning of the path, so I wouldn't suggest that you go to Vipassana retreat and expect yourself to be like a whole new person when you come out. So I'm going to put the schedule on the screen here of what we did. Waking up every day at 4 a.m. Starting at 4:30 a.m. and then you finish at 9:30 p.m. I think it's maybe 11-ish hours of meditation. You have breaks in between each set, so it's usually like an hour and a half each block, and then you take a break. It's really intense. So basically for days 1 to 3, you're taught to just focus on the sensation around your nose. So inside the nostrils, outside the nostrils, on the tip of your nose, on the bridge of your nose, on the sides of your nose. You're zoning in to one part of your body to kind of focus your mind on the breathing, on the sensation, and just slowing down, because so many of us are just constantly running around, overstimulated in a really kind of hyper fast digital world. So shock to these systems these first few days, and then from day 4 to day 10 you're taught Vipassana. It's basically a very simple concept of body scanning. So you are going through all of the parts of your body, witnessing and observing how it feels. The sensations in the body are constantly changing. The lesson is this idea of impermanence. Sensation in the body is constantly changing. Sometimes you're doing full body scans. Of course, whilst all of this is going on in your body, your mind is going a bit mad because you're sitting, meditating, focusing for 11 hours a day. A lot of us are not used to doing that, so it's really, really tough. Your monkey mind is just kind of running around. Anyway, we're having thousands of thoughts every day. To sit with yourself in your mind. Silent meditation retreats, you're not allowed to talk to anyone, you're not allowed to make eye contact. So you're just in your own world and you're meditating. So it's a really interesting experience. Highly recommend it. Theory is this notion of self-purification by self-observation. Obviously, self-purification can be interpreted in many different ways. For me, self-purification is just understanding yourself. They talk about reacting blindly to certain situations, so most of us are kind of walking around our lives constantly reacting, constantly being triggered by certain events, and that creates kind of negative thought patterns, that creates kind of layers and layers of kind of suffering and misery. And then we start kind of multiplying it within our minds, within our bodies, on a cellular level. And we're all kind of walking around in like pain bodies. The idea is that you're sitting with yourself, you're allowing everything to come up. As things come up to the surface, you process them and then you let them go. My experience, so it's Monday. I only came out of the centre on Saturday. It's been really difficult to come back because I travelled through London, I took the train back up to Scotland. It's just been really difficult to get back into society, and I was back to work today. Just really intense, just really noisy, having not spoken for 10 days, having been in silence for 10 days. So it's quite difficult to really put a finger on how you've changed what you're feeling right now. I think for me, I just feel like I'm slightly on another planet. It feels great. There's a lot of science behind meditation and how it kind of raises your kind of energetic vibrations. So I've come back, really wanting to quit my job, but I've got a mortgage to pay. I'm feeling like I'm kind of on another planet, but it feels good. So I wanted to talk a bit around the hardest parts and the best part. The hardest parts for me were the discipline. It made me reflect that I've never really had that much discipline in my life, so I've never had to wake up every morning at 4 o'clock. I think the monotony of sitting with yourself hour after hour, meditating because you're consciously focusing. So that's really challenging. It can be frustrating, it can be boring. So that monotony of sitting like in your brain can be really tough. Another thing I found really difficult was eating less. You're only given breakfast and lunch, and dinner is 2 pieces of fruit. You're kind of given enough food, but for me, having been through a burnout and breakdown, when I was going through that process a few years ago, I lost a lot of weight. Like when I get hungry or when I feel like I'm not eating enough, I start to feel a bit anxious. I'm just scared I'm gonna, immediately fall into burnout, or I can kind of feel in my body when my blood sugar's low, so I'm like always got snacks with me. So eating less was really difficult. It was a challenge, an additional challenge on top of all the meditation. But I would say it was really good because you become a lot more grateful and a lot more mindful about what you're eating. For example, like you've just eaten a really good meal or just like fruit, you can feel that digesting in your body very quickly because the meditation just kind of heightens all of your senses, touch, smell, taste, the feeling, everything. So you're really mindful of what's easy to digest and what's not so easy. Like one day I had a lot of pasta and bread, and then like hours afterwards I was sitting in meditation in pain. It was really interesting to observe a bit more around what we're consuming in our bodies. On the point of consumption, in this silent meditation retreat, we don't have access to social media, phones, laptops, Wi-Fi, whatever. You're not consuming anyone else's kind of stuff going on in social media either. So, what were the best parts? I love peace and quiet. I would identify as being highly sensitive, so my brain gets really overstimulated by internal stimuli, like thoughts and feelings, and then external stimuli, other people's energy, noises. So I just loved the peace and quiet. My partner asked me, like, how was the communal living? Because you're living basically with like 50 other women in dorms, but you're not allowed to talk to each other, you're not allowed to make eye contact. It's strange because you're kind of in your own world, but you've also got people around you. So I actually really enjoyed that because it was peaceful, but you've also got a community around you. And then on the last day, day 10, we were allowed to talk. It was just such a magical moment to come out of 10 days of silence, connect with the people that you've spent the last 10 days with. Even though you don't know them, you might not know their name, you're with them every single day, so you know their habits, you kind of understand their mannerisms, the way that they're behaving. So it's just a really great moment to connect with these people after 10 days, where I start to feel like you've got more in common with these people in some respects than you do with other people in your life, because you've been through such a difficult experience together, like you're bonding on another type of level. That sense of community with the people with you at the centre, loved it. Because I've been through so much therapy, I'm quite good at observing my thoughts anyway. I did quite a lot of meditation since like 2014. I think I started in Moscow, so I've done quite a lot of meditation. When you're in your mind all day, every day in this 10-day retreat, it's just constant chatter. It's like constant monkey mind, talking. For me, it was okay to observe this and be patient with yourself, because obviously during the meditations, like, you're constantly distracted, you're constantly thinking about lots of other things. For me, it was okay. Demonstrate self-compassion to myself, bring yourself back into feeling okay and back into focus again. Meditation, it's inevitable that you'll be distracted, but you can bring yourself back. I spoke to someone afterwards and she said, I found out that being my mind is actually not a great place to be. For me, it was good. For other people, it wasn't. Brings me on to recommendations. So I highly recommend anyone to do this Vipassana retreat. It's like a reset button. Personally, I think if you can handle the challenge of it, absolutely worth it. But they do recommend really struggling with your mental health or psychiatrically or medically, then don't go, and don't expect Vipassana to like cure you or for you to come out the other end healed in any way. It's not an easy retreat. I think because I have been through so much therapy that I was fine doing it. We heard of Vipassana 6 years ago. A friend was talking to me about it and I just didn't feel ready to go. But now I finally made time for it and I went and it was fine. But really struggling with your mental health, I would first and foremostly work with clinical professional, some form of psychologist or therapist, and then look at Vipassana as like something additional in the future. Scientific evidence around the benefits of meditation, but it can kind of expose you to the depths of your soul. So, it's not for the faint-hearted. Another lesson I had was asking for what I want. There's lots of kind of theories around which days are most difficult. Guy Goenka, who leaves it, he says like day 2, day 6, like you're just gonna be struggling so much. But I would say first few days were very difficult for me because I couldn't find a position. I was constantly moving, like every 1 or 2 minutes I was like cracking my back. It was annoying me, but I didn't realize like people spoke to me afterwards and they were like, are you okay? Like you were constantly moving. First day I asked for a chair and the teacher said no. She gave me like a bench to kneel on, and then second day I was like, no, it's not working. And then third day she gave me like a back stand, like something to sit against and like have my back against, and it just changed the game. I was so happy after that. I actually had like tears of joy for the teacher when she gave me that back stand. Oh my god, I was so happy. And then like day 4 and day 5 I was like psyched because it was almost halfway, and then probably like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 were just like a bit of a roller coaster. So you are on a constant roller coaster with yourself. I would, if you're thinking about doing this, recommend doing a lot of reading and consider how difficult it's going to be, and how the kind of 2 theories around Vipassana is the idea of constant impermanence. Nothing is permanent, things are always going to be changing. Second theory is around equanimity, so just observing things objectively. Some 2 very good lessons there. I hope it was useful. You consider doing Vipassana at some day. They've got retreats all over the world. Go for it. It's donation based, so obviously that's a lot more affordable. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. I hope you enjoy. Feel free to ask any more questions. I might do an update depending on how I'm feeling. You're supposed to continue doing like 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, but I'm probably not going to do that. I've only been doing like half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, take care. Feel free to ask any questions and speak again soon.